Hello and welcome to another exciting episode. In this episode, we'll be looking at setting up multiple suns with linked or wired parameters. So they will be all sharing the same solar date, but they'll have different day times. To get started, I've just got a plane to cast shadows onto and a few boxes to cast shadows. What we will do is instead of using a light, and there's a sun positioner which is newish, but it's a bit of a dud, so we won't use that one. What we'll do instead is go across to the systems panel, and we'll use the daylight command. So in the viewport, I'll click and drag, and I'll just click down here, and that will have created a sun. Its location will be somewhere weird, California. We will look at changing that to Melbourne, Australia. Okay, and I will go across to the modify panel. We could adjust the orbital scale if you want it to be kind of further away from your model. It doesn't make any difference to the rendering. It's just can make things clearer or less clear. If I go across to the modify panel, we're wanting to do V-Ray. So where it says standard, we will change that to V-Ray. In here, we'll use the V-Ray environment, yes. And we can turn off this skylight thing, which we don't need because we're using the V-Rays environment. We're going to make some copies. I've already set my exposure to V-Ray standard external exposure. Let's do a quick check to see if it's actually working. Yep, so that's fine. If I wanted to change the time of day, you can select the sun, click on setup. It basically just takes you across to the motion panel where you can change the time of day. So pick a nicer time. Let's go morning for this one. And then what we want to do is we want to make multiple suns, and what will happen if we make multiple suns is the intensity of the sun will be too high, so it'll be overblown. We could adjust the exposure, but I find it easier if we just change the intensity of the sun here. So if we're going to have, like if you're going to do 20 suns, you might divide 1 by 20, or if you're doing 10 suns, you might make whatever that is, 10.1. Let's go 0.33. I'm just going to make 3 suns for demonstration purposes. So you can see that got a bit darker. But when I multiply or make copies of this sun, hopefully it won't be too overblown. We can see the effect of the shadows. You can do a clone and do this all on top of itself, but I prefer to just move it across. It makes it a bit easier to see what's going on. I won't make them as instances. I want these to be kind of independent sun objects. And let's make 2 copies. Okay. Now, parameter wiring, it's for sun systems is a little bit trickier. So normally, if I wanted the height of this guy to match, I would go right-click wire parameter object height and click on this guy and make that match the height of that, and I could do a one-way or two-way connection, and bada bing, bada boom, they're now matching. I change the height of one and they both change. That's cool, but it doesn't work with sun systems. Unfortunately, a bit of a Autodesk feature. If we right-click on the sun, you see that the wire parameters dialog is grayed out for Autodesk reasons. So what I'll do is I'll select this guy, and then I can go to the animation menu, wire parameters, and then the parameter wire dialog. And then it's a little bit of a fun task of searching for them. So this has all of the different kinds of objects in your scene. This one is pretty easy, so it's under compass, under daylight, and then I can choose the solar date. But then I need to dig to find the other one, so my second sun will be, it's under compass 1, and I click on the first one, and then in here, hopefully I can find it. So it's that guy, and then solar date. I've found that one-way connections are more robust with the sun systems, so I will do a one-way and connect that guy. And then whilst I'm still in here, what I'll do is I'll see if I can dig in here and find the third sun. So there it is, solar date. It can take a while to find these things. They're not super intuitive. And then I go connect. And then what I will do to see if this is working is I'll change the times of, close this guy, grab this sun, I'll change the time, across to the motion panel, change the time. Let's go earlier. And then this one will make that kind of midday, whoops, midday. And this one I will change to afternoon. Something like that. So you can see that now you're getting an idea of where the, where the impact of these buildings would be on your, surrounding environment. And then if I select my first sun, oops, which is this guy, that's a little bit hard to see, that guy. Then hopefully if this has all worked, I should be able to change the time of the year, so the day of the year, so change the month, and they should all change simultaneously, different. So I could go, what is it going to be like for Christmas, or in the middle of winter, what's the impact? If you have, and I guess, once you've got these things set up, I would usually just align them back together so they're sitting directly on top of each other, and that way it's just a bit kind of easier to see what's going on. And okay, but this is not probably something you'd do if you're only doing one sun study, multi-sun time study for one project, but if you do it a lot, this is well worth setting up. And I mean, we've just linked the solar time as in like the day of the year parameters, but if you were doing projects around the world, you might link latitude, longitude. You might be looking at different time ranges, so you might have you might link the intensity, so you might have some where you're looking at 20 different times all simultaneously, and you might then just look at 3 times, so then you would want the intensity to be changed depending on how many suns you've got. But that's how to wire parameters of suns. If you are using Arnold, it's an identical process, but what you would do is you just turn this light off. So these are, and you do it, I've got V-Ray as my engine, but you turn all of your suns off, and then you would make a Arnold sun system, and then you could align that. So if I select this guy, align,